I'm still a little upset about these things because we got burned on one of our coding interviews one time, and I just thought I was going to get a rock star engineer, and I found out he actually just was a robot. So
Welcome to the Friday Flow with Jordan and let's go. Fact news and all the trends. Tune in now with your friends.
hey, Will, happy Friday Flow.
Hey Jordan, happy Friday Flow. Birthday week for you.
It was my birthday on Wednesday. It was a lovely birthday. I'm finally 30.
There you go. And no one's counting, so that's perfect. How's your morning been?
It's great. It's a great morning. I was up
Great.
pretty late last night because I did go to the most San Francisco thing of all time yesterday. I went to an AI conference that started at 8 a.m. and went till 2 a.m. Yes, you heard me, till 2 a.m. It's because it switched venues to a nightclub, but there was still booths and like people were still pitching AI products. It was absolutely hysterical. Like it was maybe one of the funnier events I've ever been to. Went there with the Appify guys. They were terrific. We had a ton of fun with them. Okay, so anyway,
Awesome.
back to, but by the way, yeah, I feel great this morning. It's
Great.
just superb. We have quite a few things to talk about today. It's been a big week. A couple of crazy things have come out as usual. But besides that, I have Back AI. I'll tell you what that is in a minute. Performance reviews in the era of AI. And so we just finished up performance reviews, and I have a lot of thoughts about how they're done these days. Vibe coding jobs. I'll tell you about that one too, Will. Kling. What's Kling? I don't know. Maybe AI videos. We'll see. And then, Will, you had a few things you wanted to cover.
Yeah, I think we have an expansion from last week, which I think ties in kind of nicely and to some things that we've been aware of and thinking about in the business as well to do with cheating. And so maybe we'll slide that in.
All right. Well, I'm just going to get my really short ones out of the way here. I do have back problems. It's just a part of my life, and I've
Don't we all?
always
when
wondered.
when we hit 30, so
Right?
you're gonna feel it this week.
Exactly. And by the way, I'm not really 30, everyone. But I was like, how can AI help my back? And guess what came out on Product Hunt? It's called Backed AI. It's literally, hey, do you have back pain? Let AI fix it for you. I downloaded it. It just reminds me every morning to stretch my back. It's a true story.
I like that. Yeah, you got to get some prompts right. You can go figure out with ChatGPT your own back problems
Yeah.
with prompting, but they've put a wrapper on that, so I love it. I'm sure
Yeah,
they're
it
already
was-
at 10 million ARR.
I
That's
was
great.
cracking up. Yeah. Okay. And then let's get this other one out of the way real quick. You know what I haven't done in a while? I haven't
have you done?
generated AI videos.
That's true.
So
I've not seen one.
I decided to do it mainly because at the conference yesterday, there was quite a few AI video products there. Okay. Here is Sloth Drinking Martini.
Very appropriate.
Wait, here we go. Sloth Drinking Martini coming up. Ready? And that was it.
Creepy looking sloth. I thought that was an owl or something for a minute.
It was wildly creepy. I still very confused how it's a
Are you
sloth.
going to give a shout out to the company that created that product?
That's Kling, but actually they weren't at the conference yesterday. There was a couple other ones, but this one I downloaded like a week ago and I just haven't gotten around to using it. So there you go. Just tried it. It was fun.
There you go. Yeah,
Yep.
we've got to get our friends from Tavis on the pod at some point.
Yeah.
They've got some really awesome stuff, and I heard they were at the AI conference yesterday.
Yes, they were there. Hassan from Tavis gave a really, really awesome keynote. They also launched a product yesterday. They didn't talk about it at the conference, but I did see that they launched a new product. It's like a lip syncing product. So I think you can give them like a clip of maybe like a movie or something, and you can tell them what the actors should say, and it'll make it look very realistic.
Yeah,
I don't
I,
have it
I
down.
actually saw that as well. It looks super cool. I think it goes back to their original business model where you want to record a quick Loom sales video, but you want to customize it to an individual company. You want to drop in some snippets. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of kind of the spam AI emails. They're doing that, bringing that into the video format, so you can record 100 different videos with 100 different prompts in it. And I think a lot of that cool tech is around the lip syncing technology that goes into that. But that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe they're getting into FX, but maybe we'll have to get Hassan on to explain to
Yeah.
us where it's headed.
Yeah, it is cool. I'm actually surprised I don't get very many of those. I assume I'd all of a sudden start getting like a bunch of customized videos, but I don't get them yet.
It's
They'll come.
still
They'll
early. It's
come.
still early.
They'll come. Okay, so now let's get into our real topics. First one, performance reviews in the era of AI. So we just did performance reviews, and I know for a stone cold fact that every single person used ChatGPT. And if they didn't, that's silly. They should have. So if you think about it, what everyone's doing, and I'm assuming we all did the exact same thing, you take bullets of what you want to talk about. This person did well at this, they can work on this, and you just write it in bullet form. And then you take that, put it in ChatGPT, you get like a paragraph. I can tell some people were like, oh, that looks too short. So can you just make it a little bit longer? Which, by the way, God, I can't believe I didn't have ChatGPT in high school. So great. Yeah, make it a little longer. Beautiful. Now let's put it in. It looks like I did more work. Then to read it, we take that long paragraph, put it in ChatGPT, and we say, hey, make me bullets from this paragraph so I can just distill this down. I want to just know about what the bullets are. There is so much cost going into just this like illusion of work, but then what we really want are just the bullets. So like how can Lattice take advantage of this? Like how can Lattice just, or how can we as society just understand that we'd actually rather keep it short, and we don't have to make it look like we worked harder to like write a big thing.
Very interesting and very perceptive. I'm sure plenty of this went on. I think it's interesting to see the changing of what's considered AI generated, and for whatever reason, for and beyond, the M dash has now been called out as being very obviously included in a lot of this kind of formulation. So when you've got long paragraphs, you can have a lot of M dashes in them. A lot of people that
Can you
know
explain
about
what an
this,
M dash is?
a long line that's used to connect two pieces of a sentence. Rather than using like parentheses or something like that, you can kind of have these long run-on sentences. And I love using an M dash. And a lot of people that understand and have seen the blowback that there's now a lot of M dashes being added to AI, and it's a fingerprint that AI was maybe used to generate this content, actually are gutted because they love using an M dash. I am one of them. So yeah, I definitely saw some M dashes in some performance reviews. I agree. I challenge a little bit on like why the why. Do you think it's because they want to show that they've done more work, or that they just don't want to write lengthy pieces? But the performance review point, if you're reviewing a peer, for instance, you want to give them something that's motivating and hopefully constructive, and that they're gonna read. Yeah, they don't really want to get just bullets, I'd assume. But I agree, as a manager, you probably don't want to. If you're reviewing 12 performance reviews, you probably want some way of cutting down to what the real meat of the argument is that someone's trying to make, and so that's where the bullets come in. But I think people still prefer the long form for their version, right? Or do you think
I
do
don't
you
know.
think your team received your manager review and stuck it into ChatGPT because they didn't want to read your manager review?
Possibly.
Well, we'll
Very
have to
possible.
ask the team.
Yeah, it's possible.
But I agree. I think so. We use Lattice internally as one of our HR systems, and it's great for performance reviews. It does a lot of the managing and monitoring and pinging of people. But yeah, noticeably missing AI, which is interesting given it was set up by the brother of Sam Altman. So
I did not know that.
you'd expect them to have a little bit more AI in there, but yeah, very much lacking AI. You can take this a step further as well, as when you're compiling your self review. You could imagine a world where if you're a software engineer, you have it plugged into your Linear, and you're like, well, cool, or your GitHub. Like, how much
Mm.
work did I do? Remind me. So a large part of the brain exercise that goes into writing your self review, and also your peer reviews, when you want to give feedback of what people did, strengths and weaknesses, it is trying to remember what they did over the past year. If you have some way of collating that information and pulling it in, AI is a perfect candidate for that as well. So there's also an ability here to really make it a wildly excellent performance review cycle where you don't miss a beat. Sales as well, you can pull in the CRM, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff that could be connected that you don't have to remember and jot down as you have in kind of the build up to review time.
That's a great point. I do know that the vast majority of what people talk about in their reviews are what's happened in the last 6 months. Definitely not the 6 months previous, because it's just not top of mind. The
Humans'
recency
context windows
Yeah.
are also the same as AI.
Yeah, exactly. But those are great points. Okay, moving on. Do you want to talk about Cluey or whatever it's called?
Clue.
Cluey. I like Cluey.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring up Clue and a little backstory. So the timeline on Twitter had been on fire a few weeks ago with the controversy surrounding a candidate for college. And so there's a guy on there, he's called Roy Lee. He now has 80,000 followers or something. He was directly cheating with AI on applications and interviews and things like that with all of his getting into college. So he got kicked out ultimately of Columbia and got a bunch of bad press written about his usage of AI for cheating, scamming his way into college applications and things like that. Rescinded from Harvard. It was a whole thing. The college universities are clearly not here for the AI world. They were extremely aggressive in trying to cancel this guy. But you know what VCs love? They love people that are going to go against the status quo and try and change things. So, of course, Roy had been his name dragged through the educational elite, his name covered in shame. He's turned that. He's gone to Silicon Valley. He's flipped it on its head. He's gone and spoken to the powers that be over here, and he's come out with his very own product, announcing his $5.3 million seed round to launch Cluely, which is his invisible AI to cheat on everything. And so, pretty cool, pretty funny. I think they're actually backed by Columbia student suspended over interview cheating tool, raises $5 million to actually do this. Abstract and SUSE, great VCs, are backing this guy and this round. Super awesome. He's a kid, he's like 19 and he's absolutely crushing it. The cool thing is they wrote a manifesto. They want to cheat on everything, but it's also talking about, the future is that everything's going to be AI augmented. And this kind of ties back into what we were talking about last week when we were looking at Attio and having an AI companion on that sales call. I actually think that's one of the use cases that Cluely's going for. They're going for like sales calls, giving them some support with the sales calls. Obviously, the concerning side for like a Jordan and me, where you're trying to run a business, is things like cheating in code interviews, right? Can this actual person write code, or are they cheating? I think this is gonna cause a problem for that as well. It's truly undetectable. If you ask someone to share their screen, Cluely kind of disappears. So I don't know if we should be pushing it or not, but I think it's super interesting how they're going about it. Definitely drummed up a lot of controversy, and then they dropped a really, really funny, highly productionized video for when they launched this, where he's wearing glasses, like meta glasses, and it keeps popping up with how to deal with a date that he's on. So it goes super awkward. He's got to compliment her. You got to watch the video. It's really, really great. That is Cluely, which I think is super cool. What do you think about this brave new world we're entering?
I mean, it exists. Like, let's be honest, it's here. Their marketing is pretty smart. I mean, it's like polarizing, right? It's just like they use the word cheat. Cheat is obviously like their thing. It's not helping, it's not augmenting. They're saying cheating because it's catchy. It makes sense. It works with the story of him getting kicked out of college, right? So I like it. I'm still a little upset about these things because we got burned on one of our coding interviews one time, and I just thought I was going to get a rock star engineer, and I found out he actually just was a robot. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes in the future. I'm curious how some of these SaaS businesses that help you with coding interviews, I'm wondering how they'll evolve to help with the detection, or just like, are interviews going to change in general? Because how do you know if somebody's using it? For me, I'm like, let's just do it in person, and they can't wear glasses.
Yeah, yeah. It goes back to also, this happens in chess, right? This was kind of the first version of cheating is people remote monitoring the live chess screen, and then, they're wearing like an anklet bracelet. Like chess is famous for trusting their players. And so they don't have pat downs or they need to come out of some sort of room ahead of a chess game. But it's been a lot of controversy of recent years. It's no different in business with interviews. I did see on Twitter people suggesting that maybe there's now a market for creating safe rooms that people can go and interview at, kind of like when you used to take exams as a kid and you had to go sit in the special library. Now we're going to have these testing clean rooms pop up all over the country.
Wow.
So people can take coding interviews. It's interesting. We see this in all parts of AI. I think you're going to have a lot of people trying to augment whatever it is, a user, a business, all these kind of things. That's going to have second, third level order impacts on whatever is responding to that. So yeah, a good example in our line of work is there's been a huge prevalence of customer support tickets being generated for a number of commerce type platforms because it's just easier, right? To be able to make an automated AI, and maybe there's incentives aligned for those customers to request whatever that might be, whether it's a refund or some sort of credit or something like that. You need to now have intelligent systems, and there's a lot of what we work on is how do you think about the downstream impact of that as well from a business perspective. I think we're going to have a lot more murkier waters before we get cleaner air for how this is going to go down. I think we're very much in the beginning with AI interviews. It's going to be try to be shamed, and it's kind of called cheating until it's going to be respected and incorporated. And I think we're seeing that with performance reviews today. We're not saying don't use ChatGPT to write your performance reviews. We're saying, well, you started this call off by saying you'd be shocked, like, why didn't you use GPT to help write your performance reviews? So I think we're all still in the early throes of this.
Yep.
But I'm very excited for where it's headed and how we can help shape that future.
Yep. There's winners and losers. There's so much positive impact of AI, but there's always going to be some, what I see as negative. But, some people have an upside in cheating. It's the cheaters. It's those that are on the other side that get cheated. Just like I'm assuming in San Francisco in a year, everyone's just going to be wearing glasses on dates, just like that video showed. So
yeah, how do you know I'm not even
exactly
cheating on this podcast today?
You might be. It's very possible. Next topic. I have a fun fact from the conference I went to yesterday. I think you're going to love this, Will. This is like right up your alley. So I learned a lot of things, but this was a very random, like just theory that somebody had, and I was like, that's quite interesting. So all of the companies that are making bots, like chat bots and agents, everything's non-deterministic, right? So it's like you don't actually know how it's going to end up when you're running these processes. And so how do you test them? Like engineers love tests. We like test-driven development. How do you test this kind of stuff? And so an example is if you're making an agent that helps you book flights, just as a simple example, how do you run regression tests on that? So the theory is there's going to be a whole new type of job, and it's purely people who vibe code fake apps for testing. So you vibe code on like Vercel or Lovable or whatever, a few fake flight apps. And so you actually make these specifically for bots to go and like do one specific flow, and you basically tell at the end if that flow is completed or not. And so you're doing this, you're basically just creating kayak.com. So it's like just recreating kayak.com.
On the fly.
On the fly. So it's just people just coding and making tons of like 0 to 1 apps as a job. What do you think? You think that's real?
I think that's interesting. I think this is the classic use case of people that don't believe that AGI is around the corner is booking flights. People like the AI agents don't yet book flights. It seems like everyone's trying to solve that problem right now.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And that just actually, as a tangent side thought, my thought was, well, why can't you just actually use United.com or Google Flights or Kayak to book it anyway? Because you have regulation that allows you to cancel within 24 hours. And then I was like, actually, this might be a boom of a bunch of cancellations on these platforms because of engineers testing with Stripe accounts and actually testing in live situations. And so maybe we need bots to prevent that. I do love the idea though of spinning up on the fly bots. I don't know if they're going to be as sophisticated as what you're actually trying to achieve with some of these other platforms. But sure, the whole goal here, right, is evals. Like, can your AI agent match predetermined evals to make your non-deterministic, probabilistic app work like a deterministic app in a variety of cases? And I think certainly a way of doing that is a vibe coding solution.
Yep.
I think what you need is so many edge cases because it needs to be able to work in so many varieties to be a truly flexible AGI app. So it makes sense. Why not get a bunch of people to vibe code? That creates you your edge cases. And so that's pretty cool. So you might assist it with actually dumping real flight purchases across all of the websites and then get your chargebacks on it. I'm sure they're not gonna be super happy with that, but
yeah, it doesn't sound
that's the
like
brave
a
new
good
world.
idea. Doesn't sound like a good idea. By the way, you would have loved this conference because they said the word vibe code at least 1,000 times, and I know how much you love vibe coding.
Like, I'm sad I missed it.
I was surprised how much they talked about vibe coding and how it is now officially a thing. It's like definitely really a thing now.
Well, yeah, no.
The term. I figured they'd change the term, but it's here to stay.
I think Andre Karpathy came up with it, so I don't think you can change the term.
It's locked in.
It's locked in.
Solid. All right. Awesome, Will. Well, thank you. Have a lovely Friday, and we will see you next Friday.
Let's get it. Happy Friday flow, everyone. Bye.